Shadows of eternity. Is it possible to find love again after centuries of loss? Being wealthy, influential, and eternally 35 has its perks. But being an ancient, heartbroken vampire isn't as glamorous. Alexandra Duval is the CEO of Midnight Visions, a creative agency in New Orleans. By day, she is a savvy businesswoman. By night, she secretly acts as a scientist and investigator for a shadowy supernatural organization. Decades ago, she lost the love of her life in a tragic accident, and since then, she's shielded her heart from further pain. But when Naomi Harrington, a brilliant photographer with an enigmatic presence, is invited to present her work at Alexandra's annual gala, something stirs within Alexandra. Can this spirited, insightful woman help Alexandra heal and find love again? Will Naomi be able to accept that she is drawn to someone with a dark and otherworldly secret? And what hidden truths about Midnight Visions threaten to test their newfound bond and Naomi's safety? Shadows of Eternity is the beginning of a series following the journey of two women whose love defies time and transcends the secrets that lie between them. Alexandra scanned the crowded room at her company's annual gala, trying to keep her emotions in check. The glittering event was usually her way of showing Midnight Vision's influence, a testament to her centuries of carefully curated success. But tonight was different. Amidst the clinking of champagne glasses and the murmur of conversation, Alexandra's gaze was drawn to Naomi Harrington, who stood across the room, absorbed in a discussion about her latest photographic series. Naomi's work had a depth and sensitivity that stirred something in Alexandra. In her portraits, she captured fragments of life, hidden emotions, fleeting moments of vulnerability that felt strangely familiar, as though Naomi had somehow glimpsed Alexandra's own guarded soul. As Alexandra watched her, she felt an unexpected tug on her heart, a reminder of feelings she had buried decades ago. With a quiet resolve, she crossed the room toward Naomi, her movements graceful and measured. Naomi noticed her approach and offered a warm smile, seemingly unaffected by the powerful presence that made most people in the room nervous. "Naomi," Alexandra greeted, her voice calm and composed. "Thank you for accepting our invitation. I've been looking forward to meeting you." Naomi's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Thank you for having me. I've heard so much about Midnight Visions, but I never imagined it would be this grand." She gestured around at the elegant decorations and the gathering of New Orleans elite. "Your work here seems like it has a lot of reach." "It does," Alexandra replied, her tone thoughtful. "But sometimes reach comes at a price. I'm sure you understand that. Your photos capture the hidden layers of life in a way few can." Naomi's gaze softened. "Photography has always been my way of understanding people. It helps me see what's beneath the surface. Sometimes, I think it's the things we hide that define us the most." Alexandra felt a pang at Naomi's words. She was right. Centuries of hiding who she truly was, of hiding her grief, had shaped her into someone cautious, someone who carefully guarded every part of herself. And yet, in Naomi's presence, she felt an unfamiliar desire to let down her walls. As they continued talking, Alexandra found herself genuinely intrigued, drawn to Naomi's openness and the quiet strength she sensed in her. She hadn't felt this connection in years, perhaps not since she lost her first love. But could she dare to open herself up again? And what would Naomi think if she ever discovered Alexandra's true nature? Just then, Naomi glanced at her watch. "I didn't realize how late it had gotten," she said with a laugh. "Time flies when the conversation's good." Alexandra smiled, almost reluctant to end the moment. "It does," she agreed. "But before you go, I'd like to discuss a possible collaboration." Your work is remarkable, and I think it could be a valuable addition to our next campaign." Naomi's eyes lit up with excitement. "I'd love that. Thank you, Alexandra." As they exchanged contact information, Alexandra felt the faintest flicker of hope. Perhaps Naomi's presence in her life could be the key to healing old wounds. But beneath that hope lay a shadow of fear. Fear of the secrets she'd hidden for centuries, and the danger that Naomi could unknowingly stumble into. Over the next few weeks, Alexandra and Naomi worked closely together on the campaign. Their professional relationship deepened into friendship, with late-night conversations over coffee turning into shared stories and moments of laughter. Naomi's curiosity about Alexandra grew, but she sensed that there was a part of her that remained distant, something beyond the poised businesswoman she presented to the world. One evening, while they were reviewing a photo shoot, Naomi looked at Alexandra thoughtfully. "You know, I've been wondering. You carry yourself like someone who's seen a lot, someone who's lived through more than they care to share. I don't know what it is, but sometimes I feel like you're carrying a whole world of memories." Alexandra paused, a faint flicker of vulnerability in her expression. "Maybe I am," she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "Some memories are harder to leave behind than others." Naomi placed a comforting hand on Alexandra's arm. "You don't have to talk about it if you're not ready, but I'm here if you ever want to." In that moment, Alexandra felt her heart soften. She could see the kindness in Naomi's eyes, and for the first time in years, she wanted to trust someone with her story. But the weight of her secret, the reality of her existence as a vampire, held her back. As they continued working together, Alexandra found herself at a crossroads. Could she reveal her true self to Naomi, or would the truth drive her away? And with dark forces lurking within the shadows of midnight visions, she knew that keeping Naomi close could put her in grave danger. But her heart ached at the thought of pushing Naomi away. Would she be willing to risk everything for the chance at love once more? Over the following weeks, the connection between Alexandra and Naomi only grew deeper, bringing Alexandra's long-suppressed emotions closer to the surface. Late nights working on the campaign turned into casual dinners, then into evenings spent wandering through quiet New Orleans streets, sharing stories and dreams. Each time Alexandra looked into Naomi's eyes, she felt a strange comfort and a creeping fear that Naomi could see past her carefully constructed facade. One evening, as they were wrapping up a shoot at an old mansion on the edge of the French Quarter, Naomi paused by the wrought iron gate, gazing up at the moonlit sky. "There's something magical about this city," she said softly. "It feels like it has its own secrets, like there are things hidden in every shadow." Alexandra's heart beat a little faster. New Orleans has a lot of history. Some secrets are buried so deep, they never see the light of day. Naomi turned to look at her, a question in her eyes. "I feel like you're hiding something too, Alexandra. I don't mean to pry, but sometimes, it feels like you're carrying more than any one person should." Alexandra hesitated, her instinct to protect herself clashing with her growing desire to open up to Naomi. She wanted so badly to trust her, but the weight of her secret, her true nature as an immortal vampire, felt too heavy to reveal. Yet she couldn't bear the thought of pushing Naomi away. With a quiet sigh, Alexandra finally spoke. "Naomi, there are things about my past that are complicated. I wish I could tell you everything, but I'm afraid that if I do, you might see me differently, maybe even fear me." Naomi's eyes softened. She took a step closer, reaching out to gently place her hand on Alexandra's arm. "I don't scare easily. I don't know what you're hiding, but I want you to know that I'm here. Whatever it is, it won't change the way I feel about you." Her touch sent a warmth through Alexandra's chest, and she found herself leaning into it, savoring the closeness. For centuries, she had been alone, avoiding attachments for fear of losing them. But here, in this moment, she felt a spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to be alone anymore. As they stood in the quiet night, a chill wind swept through, stirring the trees and casting eerie shadows across the mansion grounds. Alexandra glanced around, her senses suddenly heightened. She felt a presence, a subtle, lingering darkness that she hadn't noticed before. It was faint but unmistakable. "Do you feel that?" Alexandra asked, her voice tense. Naomi looked around, slightly puzzled. "Feel what?" Alexandra took Naomi's hand and pulled her closer. "I think we should go. I have a strange feeling like we're being watched." Naomi nodded, sensing the urgency in Alexandra's voice. They quickly gathered their things and left, walking briskly through the narrow streets back toward the main part of the city. Alexandra kept Naomi close, her mind racing with the implications of that ominous feeling. Back at her office the next day, Alexandra couldn't shake the sense of unease. Midnight Visions had always been a sanctuary of sorts for her, a place where she felt in control. But now, with Naomi in her life, everything felt more precarious. She knew that if any of her enemies discovered her connection to Naomi, they would see it as a vulnerability to exploit. That evening, as Alexandra sat alone in her office, she was interrupted by a soft knock at the door. She looked up to see Naomi standing there, holding a cup of coffee and a tentative smile. "I thought you might need a pick-me-up," Naomi said, stepping into the room. Alexandra managed a small smile. "Thank you. I think I needed that more than I realized." Naomi sat down across from her, looking concerned. "You seem different lately. I don't know if it's the campaign stress or something else, but if there's anything you need to talk about, I'm here." Alexandra took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her secret pressing down on her. She couldn't tell Naomi everything, not yet. But she knew she had to share something, to let Naomi see a part of her truth. "Naomi, I want you to know that I'm not like most people," she began carefully, choosing her words. "I have a past that I don't often speak of, and it's not easy to explain. But if you stay close to me, you need to be careful. There are forces out there that would do anything to hurt me, and anyone connected to me." Naomi listened, her expression calm and understanding. "I understand. I know you have your secrets, and I won't push you. But I care about you, Alexandra, and I'm not going anywhere." Just as Alexandra was about to respond, her phone buzzed with an incoming message. She glanced at the screen, and her heart sank. It was a message from a number she hadn't seen in years, one she had hoped to forget. The message read, "You thought you could hide forever, Alexandra. But I'm closer than you think." Alexandra's hands trembled as she stared at the message, a chill running down her spine. She knew exactly who it was, a powerful enemy from her past, someone who knew her darkest secrets and would stop at nothing to make her suffer. Naomi noticed the change in Alexandra's demeanor and reached out, touching her hand. "Is everything okay?" Alexandra forced a steady breath, her gaze meeting Naomi's. "No, but I'll make sure it is. I need to protect you, Naomi, no matter what." But as she looked into Naomi's eyes, Alexandra knew that the path ahead was fraught with danger. Her past had finally caught up to her, and the shadows she had long kept at bay were closing in. She would have to confront her old enemy and face the secrets she had buried for centuries. And this time, with Naomi by her side, the stakes were higher than ever. In the dim light of her office, Alexandra made a silent vow. She would do whatever it took to keep Naomi safe, even if it meant facing the darkness that had haunted her for so long. But deep down, she knew that the journey ahead would test both her love and her strength in ways she could never have imagined.